get it, come on down. If you wet it, wake up, let's go. We're on a mission. Recognize we've got that power. And we make sure that you know it. Got that pride, go ahead and show it. Stand up, fight back, no time for hoping. Recognize we got that power. Don't stop until we get it. Come on down, if you wet it. Wake up, let's go, we're on a mission. Recognize we got that power. And we make sure that you know it. Got that pride, go ahead and show it. Stand up, fight back, no time for hoping. Recognize we got that power.
Good morning and welcome to the Elife Power Lunch Show. I'm your host, Chris Murray, and I'm here with Dr. Baruch. How are you?
I am doing great with the wrong view on the camera, but it's okay. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a while. It's good to be back.
It's good to be back. It's definitely good to be back. I missed all of the excitement and the energy and the people and the drama. I got a whole week without Trump. Can you believe it?
Wow, how was that?
That was like, I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't have to hear about what he did every single day of my life for like 6 days, and that was cool.
Okay, that works. Well, I'm glad I didn't pick a Trump-related hot topic for today.
Yes, that would be like culture shock, like Trump.
Right, we're back. Oh my God.
So, how things been going for you?
Things are great. I'm ready to get back into it. I know that you guys were talking a little bit earlier about tooth decay, and so
what guys?
Talking
about Eze?
Yes.
Isaiah,
Easy Money.
I've heard it all. So let's set the record straight. So my birth name is Eze Okoye. For Westerners, I like to just make it Eze because it seems to be a lot less choppy. And so Eze is what I go by in the spiritual community. I'm also known as Ring Ra'onk. So I answered all those, but for today's purposes, let's go with Eze.
Eze works.
Yes.
Or as it is in my phone, deeply melanated brother. So whenever I'm like, dang, brother, I can't remember high ring, but I can remember deeply melanated brother. So I'll never lose you in my phone. What? The deeply melanated brother.
Awesome. So you guys are talking a little bit about tooth decay, and I just thought that was interesting because that is one of the challenges that we face. When you grow up, your parents usually tell you, make sure you take care of your teeth because once you get cavities and things like that, then there's no coming back from that. But according to what you guys are saying, that may not necessarily be true. So I wanted to see if we can expand on that a little bit.
Let me jump in. So I was doing some research because I am in such disbelief of everything that I'm being told. Not just some of it, everything. And when people come to me and they say, well, I read a book, I'm like, you don't get any points, because somebody wrote the book.
Right.
So we need to go back further than that. Give me an experience, give me evidence. Don't give me something that somebody wrote somewhere, and they're qualified to have done so because some institution based in some culture and government that says that it's okay for us to promote our desires through our education and our outcomes through our education. I'm like, no. So we now need evidential based, research. And so I was doing research on dental health. And one, because for personal reasons, but also I had a client, a very prominent client who I did a consultation for yesterday, and she said that the mother said that her children are experiencing the wearing of the enamel on their teeth because they're no longer drinking city water, now they're drinking well water. And my thought was, wow, what possibly could be a great upgrade in the health of the human body is now perceived as, a detriment and possibly a threat to the health. And I said, sis, I'm going to do a little bit of research because we're going to find a remineralizing toothpaste and also a diet. And when I thought of our guest today, I said, who better to bring this up with than the heavily melanated brother with the bright teeth. When we think about the continent, Brother Eze's from Nigeria. We think about the continent, heavily melanated brothers and sisters with bright teeth, and bright eyes. So he would probably know not only from his research but experiential. And we know that toothbrushes were not what we were using. We were using sticks, or even our diet. Just what we were eating was. But I know only from what I've learned. Maybe more so from experience. Brother Eze, weigh in on teeth decay and the whole institution of dental health as articulated to us by the DDA, the dental whatever.
Okay, so I'm not that familiar with the DDAs.
Neither am I.
I know what they do and what they're about, but what I can say on this topic is that we can look at it many ways. Like if you look at a lot of dental remains, like the dental remains of a lot of corpses that are preserved of Africans are still intact. All their teeth are intact, right? So they're showing you right there that these bones were strong. Also, if you take a look at someone like, say, Dr. Sebi, peace be upon his soul, he was very big into the idea of acid and alkaline. And, an acidic environment, one's going to notice a breakdown of tissues, bones, things of that nature, structures, nerves. And in alkaline, you see the promotion or the regrowth of the same structures. So it goes to say, if you put your body in a situation where it's exposed to an acidic environment over and over and over again, you'll see things happening like tooth decay. It'll be rampant. And so what you're going to have to do to stop that is to alkalinize or remineralize the body appropriately, because oftentimes the way the body's trying to slow down the acid flow is going to be taking these alkalinizing minerals, and it's going to take them from wherever it can get them. If you're not getting it through your food, it's going to take it from you. And that's where you're seeing a lot of bone decay, dental decay, right? Osteoarthritis and basically dental problems are osteoarthritis in the mouth. So what you can do is, what I do, just to bring it more home. So I just had a tooth pulled. It was a tooth that was, it had a cavity from like a long time back. And so this tooth was pulled, and it was about 5-6 months ago, and I'm seeing this tooth is returning now, right? And I wasn't even thinking about having it return, because there was a certain mind frame put out by people like the DDA and such that, no, once it's gone, it's done. Don't even think about it, right? You might want to think about putting some gold in there,
right.
some blinging it out, right? But what I did is I just put out some really good minerals and substances. I've been watching my diet, and I'm seeing the tooth reforming. We could put it on camera if you want to, but I don't want to take you all that close and personal with my mouth.
But that's a great testimony, and I heard it for the first time maybe 15 years ago. A young lady shared with me, she said, my grandmother's teeth are growing back. She used to live in the city, and now she's moved to the country, and she's back to eating the diet that she ate as a child, and all of her teeth are growing back. And her dentures don't fit because her teeth are coming back in.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, well, Mommy, this can't be just like a phenomenon just for Grams, that you're the only one that could do this. She said, no, it's customary that, people in the country, they get a third set of teeth. That's a third set. Somebody needs to rewrite the dental books now, because you get children, you get your youth, your, what do you call them, baby teeth?
Yeah.
And then you get your adult, teeth. Now you get your senior teeth.
Right.
So that's good. And the is your medical doctor or your dentist, what is he saying? We need to pull that joker. So, what is he saying?
So it's funny because I haven't even told him yet. I'm still in awe of the whole situation. So
Right.
I have to share this with him and definitely get it all checked out. But it's just pretty amazing. And I definitely attribute to the growth of this tooth to, like I was alluding to earlier, the supplements, which I'm taking mainly just an Irish moss and a bladderwrack supplement, and that combination has been doing wonders. And I'm choosing those things because I'm versed in Chinese medicine and I'm studying African medicine, and in these systems of thought, medical thought, the kidneys are what are responsible for the bones in the body, right? So all of our skeletal system is governed by this energetic system. Don't think of the western side of the kidneys, just, right here underneath the rib cage, those two organs. There's a whole system energetically which governs the body, and the energy that functions through the body, that functions the bones and builds the skeletal system, is what we call the kidneys, and that is nourished by things that come from the sea. And we've learned that you can't drink ocean water, even though it has all these salts and minerals in it. But what we can do is take the ocean water, if it's converted into a usable form for humans by the plant life, right? And then you eat that plant life. Now you can have a vehicle to ingest all these helpful, useful minerals that we may not be getting in our land foods. And so now you have a whole host of minerals available to you to regenerate you. And that's all you essentially need, is give the body what it needs, the raw materials, and then sit back and watch the magic happen.
Yeah, that's good. It's kind of like you wouldn't necessarily eat dirt, but you can eat the plants that come out of the dirt. Correct. That extract the nutrient out of the dirt.
Correct.
What do you have to say on this, Chris?
Yeah, no, it's very interesting, and I definitely am motivated to do my own research, because even with my kids, they like to eat a lot of sweet things, and I try to keep it away. But anytime we go out to a friend's house, to grandma's house, the first thing, you guys want some candy? I'm like, no, but then they say, Mom, so I definitely want to find ways to kind of prevent little cavities and things that they have, because, like I said, my understanding was that once it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
But just hearing this really opens up my eyes, and, I'm excited to, again, do that research and figure things out.
I did research on this before, and I touched on it even since yesterday. And the young woman was speaking about her daughter whose tooth had become like mush. Her tooth was flaking away and it become like mush. And she said she started this process, and within 2 days she saw evidence. Within 5 days she saw recovery. And I was like, oh man, nutritional deficiency is like seemingly a common thread through all of the health challenges that we have.
Right.
And when you don't get what the body needs, the body can't do what it needs to do to support health in it.
That's right.
And that's not only with tooth and teeth health, hygiene, and so on and so forth, but it's with every system in the body. And we have to begin to go beyond the medical and the dental and the pharmaceutical solutions that are being extended to us as the absolute, and go beyond that to find what people were doing prior to.
Now, Dr. Baruch, on that score, if I may interject, what people were doing before. So, let me ask you a question. You just went and saw the pyramids in, was it Mexico? Mexico City, La Ciudad. So, I have a question for you. If you wanted to really learn about these pyramids, would you rather learn about the pyramids from the people that built them or the people who discovered them? Right. Or we can look at it a different way. If you wanted to learn about religion, spirituality, would you want to be interfacing with the people who had that personal experience and brought forth this science, or the people who read it in the books and pages of others? So it's the same you have to look at that with the same logic with medicine, that we are basically beholden in this Western world to people who did not create these systems of health. They're just borrowing, interpreting the wisdom from elder cultures.
Right.
So if we really want to understand what's up with these elder cultures, we need to go back to those sources. And so, it's a whole redefinition of the way we look at health has to be brought forward. And the systems that were used back then need to be brought up. We need to bring them out of the margins and bring them front and center in modern day times, because it's these systems that allow these cultures to bring forth these marvelous creations and things that we are hailing and saluting the modern day civilization today, that no one today with their systems of science and education have been able to replicate.
You know, I'm right on board with you. It's interesting how we were, and more so probably Chris and I, as compared to you, and you'll understand why I said that, but we have been so-called civilized. And now after having been so-called civilized, now we're being reintroduced to our former way, our former culture, our former diet, our former sciences, as though these are new paths that have been unearthed by those who at one point came to us and civilized us, only to now realize that it was they that were uncivilized and out of control and totally working outside the boundaries of ancient wisdom, pursuing something that, you know, the end thereof was going to make things worse, as we see. And now you see they're selling back to us the science that we once possessed as a tradition, as a culture, as a solution to the problems that were created by the civilized or the civilization process that they extended to us, as though this was an upgrade for us.
Right on. So
That was a run-on sentence, but hopefully we got it.
Yeah. No, that's huge in what you said, because I feel like, you know, it doesn't just apply to health, it applies to everything. You know,
Yes.
they're reintroducing stuff, and stealing is really what it is. If you want to just be point blank about it, you know, taking it, something that doesn't belong to you or something that you discovered, and then making money off of it. It's the story of this wonderful country.
When we were on the continent of Africa, or wherever we were, when we were here on this continent, in the places that we lived, we walked around with very little clothing on. Now we walk around fully covered. Now, it's not that the Creator didn't fully cover us. We got a full body tattoo already. So now on top of the full body tattoo, we're putting clothes, which is further diminishing the nourishment that we are to be receiving from not just the sun, but just the energy. As we're covering, we're blocking ourselves from it. And now we're being sold this new science of, you know, these I won't call them nudists, because nudist turns it into something else. But, you know, these people that have realized that we need to reconnect with the soil. Take your shoes off. Well, when you found me, I had my shoes off, because I knew that, you know, and now we need to take our clothes off. Well, when you found me, I had my clothes off. Now you turned me walking around with my clothes off into something sexual, into something that was, you know, erotic and inappropriate. Now you told me to put clothes on, only to now let me know now that wearing less clothes exposes the sun, or exposes the body to more of the energetic expression that's out there, sunlight and everything else. And it's being sold to us, you know, and it's so ridiculous, this cycle that we're going through, where we have been convinced, you know, that this is an upgrade, when in fact where we were was so much more advanced.
Right.
Than where we are today. And I had the opportunity. I don't know when it finally cut off, and maybe it still exists in Africa. I've been in 1993, and I've gone to Africa in 2010. There's a difference. In 1993, people were walking around, men and women, with no shirt on. No big deal. It was only a big deal to me from America. I was like,
Right.
do I need to walk? Do I need to go in the next room? For what? Oh, sorry. Let me grow up. You know, let me get a handle on myself here. But you know, and people were walking around, and it was no big deal.
Right.
You know, and I thought at that moment, I remember thinking about, we're the only creatures in creation that wear clothes. The only ones. You know, is there something wrong with our mentality, our psychology, our civilization process that has caused us to now, you know, think absurd things about that which is natural, and that which is natural, you know, I mean, that which is unnatural, we embrace. So, yeah, I think you're right, Chris, across the board. We're not talking about just health and nutrition and spirituality and religion and politics and history. I mean, everything has been damaged,
Right.
you know, to the seemingly towards the objective of keeping us subdued and oppressed, and not even having the desire to pursue anything other than this, because this is the ultimate.
Right, and it's actually mind-boggling. I'm sitting here thinking as you're talking, and I'm listening, and it's like we were born, we were placed here with everything that we needed, but that's not the understanding that we get. We have to make something of ourselves, be better, do better, build buildings, and do things, but we were already given everything that we needed. We're searching, like you said, the doctors and pills and all this stuff, when all of the what we need is coming from the earth, in terms of medicine and healing and wellness. It comes from the earth, so we didn't need to recreate, so it's just very interesting.
Yeah. Brother Okoye, Brother Eze, when did you journey here from the continent, or were you born here?
Yeah, I was born here, so that was 19...
And I can appreciate the dip in your voice. Yes. I can appreciate that. I was born here.
1977 was that glorious year.
Okay. Because I had to tell people, and they say, "Oh man, where they look at me and they, where you from?" And I say, "Southeast."
Was that drum roll first?
right. Southeast what? Just Southeast. So yeah, but having that rich Nigerian culture and that experience as a child, I'm sure there were things that you saw and you see when you go back, and you've been back to Nigeria, yes. I would suspect.
Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely there's some differences. What you said about the sun is very key, that the people are bathed in the sun all the time. And people wear shoes, but you see people walking on the earth still. Of course, the placement of Nigeria and the whole equatorial belt, you're in a place where it's the richest. Think of like a woman in her navel, where the baby emerges, the womb. And if the earth is like superimposed, that where West Africa is found, and that equatorial belt will be like the navel of the earth, right? On the east side, you'll see Egypt is right there. And the Great Pyramid structure, Giza, and that whole kind of scheme. So that schematics of energy is very plush there. And so people are finding ways to be exposed to this energy. Like I said, they're bathed in this energy, right? So that's definitely something that you see going on back home. And then also you see, of course, people are interfacing with traditions and customs that you maybe don't see as much here, but are definitely alive and well there, where they're utilizing, their technology, spiritual technology, to kind of elevate themselves, right, in some degree. And so some of that is what I kind of want to talk about, is some solutions people can do to get back into these indigenous systems. So
Great. I'll tell you what, why don't we take a momentary break? We're gonna pick back up with this conversation with Brother Eze Okoye here on the Elife Power Lunch. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Until we get it, come on down. If you wet it, wake up, let's go. We're on a mission. Recognize we've got that power, and we make sure that you know it. Got that pride, go ahead and show it. Stand up, fight back, no time for hoping. Recognize we've got that power. Stop until we get it. Come on down. If you wet it, wake up, let's go. We're on a mission. Recognize we've got that power, and we make sure that you know it. Got that pride, go ahead and show it. Stand up, fight back, no time for hoping. Recognize we've got that power.
You are still tuned into the Elife Power Lunch Show. I'm Chris Murray, here with Dr. Baruch and our guest Eze. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Good. So let's continue this conversation. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. You have your own practice?
Yes, I have a practice called Village Qi Gong. or business rather, and its aim is to bring the science of health and healing to as many people as possible. In a nutshell, Qi Gong is the science of breath, the respiration, right? And of course, what's the first thing we do when we come to this earth? You know, we breathe. You have to breathe. If you breathe, the doctors are going to be relaxed. If you don't breathe, they're going to be tense.
Right.
Right. And if we don't breathe, we find tension in our lives. And if we don't breathe well, we're going to be stressed. So the science of breath is very key because it really entails survival upon this plane. So Qigong, as we know it pretty much now, is focused in China. We have to give the Chinese a lot of credit for preserving this science.
Yeah.
And notice I said preserving. Right. So
there's a difference.
I'm not saying creating, preserving.
Yes.
Right? Because maybe next time I come on the show, I can show you artifacts we have in Nigeria that show the same science of the meridians or these channels of energy that travel across the body, and also artifacts that were used for acupuncture, right? And these are dating back thousands of years ago in Nigeria. So we give thanks for the preservation of this science. And we were speaking earlier about the sun. And I was about to take my shirt off, in fact, because I was like, yeah, we need to get back to that sunshine.
That's it.
But for your studio audience, I'll keep my shirt on.
There we go.
But what you can do, though, to gather the sun's energy more efficiently is through these breathing practices. Because not only do you breathe in oxygen, you breathe in particles of energy that are, from the sun, from the solar source, from interstellar sources, right? All these energies you can breathe into you, and these are also like a form of minerals, right, that come into the body and they do things. Like, when cancer is in one's body, a lot of people go to radiation therapy, right?
Right.
But the same radiation in a more safe manner can be brought into your system through your nostrils. That's what it was designed for. So, but people are underutilizing the design of their body. And that's kind of what is the science of Qigong. It's all about teaching people how to breathe properly, take this energy in, send it to different areas of the body to remove excesses or deficiencies. And then once you have this harmony, this equilibrium, this balance, your life will then take that same trajectory.
Yeah, so we're looking at maybe the science of self-care over the science of healthcare.
Correct.
Yeah, traditional, medical, pharmaceutical, industrial complex, pharmaceutical drug dealers, convincing us that high blood pressure and heart disease are pharmaceutical deficiencies as opposed to something else. Yeah. Yeah, well, we definitely on board with that. We've heard enough from enough people who make it make sense very clearly that we are not suffering from diseases as much so as we are suffering from nutritional deficiencies.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. What do you think is I'm probably giving it away already, but what do you think are the major causes of our health challenges here in the United States? And maybe along with that, what are some of those major causes? Or what are some of those major diseases?
Well, just coming from my perspective in my training, so just to share a little bit more about that is that, I'm studying Chinese medicine, right? I study pretty heavily. I have various teachers. I'm kind of going a different route with an apprenticeship type of role where I kind of apprentice underneath these various masters and I'm getting this tradition. So it's an old way of education, right? Although I am pursuing going to Chinese medicine school coming this year. So if you look at it from a perspective, I want to share a model where you have your body and there's an external expression, an internal expression, and a constitutional expression, right? So from the external expression, those are things that affect you like climatically or the environment, right? So that's like temperature changes. You go outside and you're working out and you go outside and you're exposed to this dip of temperature, so cold to hot, hot to cold. That can affect you. You have internal etiology, internal pathology, which is coming from your emotions, right? The way you feel about yourself, the way you perceive yourself, the words you use to describe who you are, your self-image, right? That has a lot to do with one's state of health, right? The words that you come from your mind. Then you have constitutional challenges that come from your genetics, your lineage, your ancestry, right? These things that you might be predisposed to. And some people think that you can't turn off these markers, these genetic markers, but you can. At least in African spirituality, you can. You just have to have a tool that goes down deep into that layer. And I'm here to say that Qi Gong can address all three layers, whether it's you're dealing with your external physiology, your internal physiology, your emotions, or your constitutional, your source, your essence.
Right. And can you tell us a little bit more about it for our listeners who may not be familiar? Is it sort of like yoga, or is it completely different?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's very similar. If you have a picture of yoga, if you have a picture of Tai Chi in your mind, then you're basically in the ballpark of what Qi Gong is all about.
Okay.
So it's a system of exercises that are done with very much attention paid to one's posture and your intention or your awareness, right? Like where you place your consciousness has a lot to do with what Qi Gong can do for the system and do for you. So so say for instance, if I did a posture where I'm extending, let's say I'm extending out here, right? Now what you're doing, if you breathe in and then you breathe out.
You said breathe in.
Right? And then you breathe out, contracting. Now you're increasing the circulation of blood through the lungs, through the heart, right? And now you're improving your respiration. And these constrictions that may be occurring in the body are being, removed. Therefore, you're going to have deeper breath. If your breath is deeper, you're going to be calmer. If you're calmer, you're going to be able to think clearer and take care of what you need to take care of, whether if it's your success goals or health goals. So it's basically a system of exercises that allow one to get in touch with whatever's happening in their body. It's like a biofeedback. And then if there's issues, you can correct them, right? So the power of it is that you have this ability to correct diseases from within versus having to reach for something from without, whether it's herbs or medications or so on and so forth.
Now, how long have you been practicing and learning and even having an interest in this? And tell us along with that, what was your motivation to get involved?
Okay, it's been 18 years now. I've been involved in this science, and my motivation was I was just one of those guys who always used to love the kung fu movies Saturday morning.
I remember.
I was definitely parked up in front of me.
You fool!
And
now you will pay.
Exactly. So, and just imagining like, wow, looking at these abilities of these people that they were, flying across the screen and, death-defying stunts, and I was like, wow. But that gave me the seed of like, is there a possibility for that to happen? And in life, as you all know, sometimes that's all you need is just that little seed to be planted.
Exactly.
And so that seed was watered and nourished throughout the years until the day I went to high school, some sort of event that was happening in my high school, my senior year. And we went on this retreat. And at the retreat, they brought in all sorts of experts. And one of the experts happened to be a Qigong Tai Chi instructor. And he had us doing something very simple. I can show it to you what it was. So
okay.
Y'all want a little participation?
Sure.
So you just want to slap your hand together and rub really fast until it gets warm. And then place this near your ears. Just place this. And then you're going to bring it up to the top of your head. Okay. And now you're just going to bring it down the front of the head and allow the palms to communicate with each other, facing each other. And tell me if you're feeling something between your palms. Feeling any vibration, any temperature change, any sensations? Right. So that what you're feeling, and then if you just roll your hands like so, you'll probably get that vibration to get stronger and stronger, right? So in the Bible, or these biblical things, they call this the laying of hands. It's this energy that you're feeling between your palms that people are able to develop to a high degree through their Qi Gong or their spiritual cultivation. And they develop this energy between their palms. It's always there. It's just maybe we're not aware of it, right? Or maybe our posture that we habitually assume due to stress cuts off this flow of this, right? Or maybe our breath, which we are hindered because, when you're scared about something, you tense up,
Right.
and you suck your breath in, moment of suspense, and then you interrupt the flow of this energy, right? And so the metaphor of that is like, how am I going to get these pills paid? There goes your breath right there.
Exactly.
Oh no, you got a phone call. It's my boss on the line.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? All these type of things, right? We habitually throughout the day are either stopping our posture in a way that doesn't engender life, or we're cutting down the full flow of our breath, right? Or our awareness is on something outside of ourselves. Therefore, we're not really tuned into the internal process that's going on. That's always trying to remind you, hey, you're out of line. You need to do this. You need to come back to peace. You need to come back to harmony. So, Qi Gong's all about. So basically, to wrap up the story, I was learning these things from this man. He was introducing me to this whole subtle realm of energy that exists in our bodies back then. That I just was amazed. I wasn't tuned into this energy, and it got me on this journey to learn and explore it more and discover more. And I went ahead, and in college, I found teachers. My first teacher was a man named Chun-Li Lu, a visiting scholar from China, who was a professor at the college, and he showed me Qi Gong for my first time. He was my first Tai Chi and Qi Gong teacher, and from him, I really got in touch with my Qi and that whole sort of essence, and I found various teachers along the road, and it's really been a good thing.
It's fascinating, these journeys, and I think about the origin and the day that I got on this path that I'm on, and you couldn't have told me that I was going to get to where I am today, and yet and still, I'm here, and I can see the GPS coordinates in my rearview mirror, and I don't know where it's going to get me to. I don't know where all of this is going to turn out. Even in this conversation, I'm seeing how, okay, we're going to adjust this a little bit. We're going to go a little bit to the left as compared to going straight with what we were doing. Right. And I think that's what life is all about. That's what we're doing here at the Elife Power Lunch. We're exposing you to information that you otherwise wouldn't get, that is designed to uplift and empower you to, make a difference in your own life, to empower you again, the end user with this information. So it's again very phenomenal, and I'm impressed with your grasp of not only the information but the essence and the energy that comes from that. And we're talking to Brother Eze Okoye, a Qi Gong. Are you a master?
I mean, I don't call myself a master. I call myself a devotee and enthusiast. But others have said that word in connection with my name, but I would never say such a word, because the day you begin to think you're a master is the day you've really missed the boat.
Yep. Yeah, I can relate.
There's always so much to learn in this field.
Sure. And you talked about the fact that this science is being preserved in China. What is happening on the continent of Africa, the origin, of this science, or maybe, but what is going on there with regard to the practice of these modalities?
Beautiful question. So what you still see in existence in Africa, well, let's back up a little bit. Just what you see with the origin of Qigong, if you talk to many Chinese, they say it came from the shamans, right? The shamanistic tradition. And the shamans are those who were the navigators between heaven and earth, right? And the way they engaged in their Qigong in those days was through dance, right? And we know the world's finest dancers are where?
In Africa, of course.
Okay. So what we're seeing is that if you look at a lot of Qigong systems, right, they have a lot of connections to animals. Right? You see the bear moves like this. You know, those type of big shoulder movements. That's the bear. You have tiger, where the claws are activated, you know, and they're really getting into the ligaments and the sinews. So people with arthritic conditions, right? Those tiger exercises will help to remove the arthritis from the system, and so on and so forth. But these animals are just like they encode these movements, but these movements were just, they had to be encoded because others were learning these systems and maybe couldn't quite follow the fullness of the flow. Whereas in Africa, the dances, you know, going into trance, going into these dances, that's where, and then these energies were emerging or coming to the forefront or to the surface of the consciousness. And people were seeing that they were dancing in particular ways and they would heal. And so then these dances became codified. And that's what we're seeing today. The remnants of these dances are what we're calling Qi Gong movements, Tai Chi movements, you know, all these kind of martial arts. But the essence is from these dances that were getting people in touch with the divine within them.
No, brother, the accurate description is articulated by our colonizers is black magic. And it's evil and it's wicked and we shouldn't want to do it. Only now to once again be reintroduced to it as though somebody discovered it.
Correct.
Okay. But so yeah, all that we used to do as on the regular, and all the powers that we possess that now have been replaced with the powerlessness of modern education, and the deficiency and the dependency and the whatever else you can add to that. You know, it's unfortunate because our contribution based on our vibrational energy that comes from us naturally, as even if you just evidence, you know, what we're doing in entertainment and what we're doing in sports. And the only reason why we're doing what we're doing in those arenas is because that's where supposedly maybe the gate or the fence has been moved back a little bit. You know, let's move the fence back a little bit because they seem to have some stuff that we need to see take place, because we need to learn from that and see how to do that. And this is how we're going to do that, I guess. I don't know what the thought process is. Or either this is how we're going to generate revenue, as we can make a lot of money having them do this, you know, them being the people with natural rhythm, the people with natural athleticism. And now they're seeing people, you know, it's not a week that goes by without looking out on the internet and seeing how some 13-year-old little girl or boy has graduated from college and high school, like within the same week. And, you know, I'm sure that people that are saying, look, we're about to mess up. That we done took 400, 500, however many years to totally break these people down, and we're about to let them see that they have this kind of capacity. We need to break them down again.
And so that's the powerful thing about it. So like, if you look at our brain and its faculties, right? So they say that maybe we only use 10-15% of our brain. There's a lot of the brain that's dormant, the brain cells, that is. And in life, anything that you need, you create energy. You see, energy is the movement from one thing to another. So in Qi Gong theory, we have this idea of like, you have this, basically let's just get down to it. Let's just get right down to it. So you have like a particular energy. You can call it sexual energy. Some people call it kundalini energy. But this very deep energy that is placed within us that can create life. It's this energy that you want to learn to manipulate to create life within yourself, right? If you can create life without you, or you can send that life out of you, right? Through the various outlets, reproductive outlets that are afforded to us. But if you choose to bring that life back and you cultivate the energy, but keep that life within, circulating in a meaningful way, then you can go to recreate structures within yourself that need to be reproduced, i.e. brain cells, eye cells, heart cells, bone cells, stomach, you know, everything that can go wrong in the body, there's a remedy, natural. And Qigong is a way to get in touch with these forces within you and properly guide them to heal you, versus the way that society would have you they're manipulating that energy out of you in so many ways, whether through the gross inattention to diet or the things that we pollute ourselves with, namely drugs and alcohol and so on, or even, like I said, the mental state, which is so subtle because you don't even know sometimes you're plaguing yourself with your own thoughts and your own mental concepts, but that can be a major part. And oftentimes the way we think is it's a result of the way our organs and our body is moving. Like if you're in a posture like this, if I came in and I was looking like this, you know it's not going to be a very good interview.
Right, exactly.
Right?
No, we're going to keep this image up. We'll just say, this is how he looked in the picture.
Yes. So if you're looking like that, you're gonna see a different energetic expression emerging. And so we really want to use our breath to change our energetic expression and then direct that expression towards life.
Right.
So Qi essentially is the sun within us. It's the sun within us.
Wow. When you think about the power and the stories of the power that our people had, or that people had on the planet, to be able to transport, thousands of miles themselves and to communicate, without the use of cell phones or whatever other mediums that we have today, it's going to be real interesting when finally, our European counterpart decides to say, we have discovered there's a way for us to communicate without cell phones or phones or any of these devices. We figured out a way to do this. It's actually rooted in some ancient, we don't know exactly where, somewhere between Switzerland and Denmark, we have determined that there were people that did this, 1,000 years ago. And, again, uncovering something that we have the capacity, seeing beyond the boundaries of the physical planet that we live on without use of telescope, and you said it earlier about that we only using 10% of our brain. Well, I kind of do a mathematical formula. Well, if we're only using 10% of our brain, then there's a chance that the 10% of our brain that has concluded that we're only using 10% of our brain is probably only seeing 10% of what is, and therefore it's probably even less than the 10% that we're actually using. And the fact that most of our mind, or let me not say it conclusively, but I've been led to know and understand that our mind is not inside of the body, and therefore the largest aspect of our computer processor, this mind that we have, the brain being the storage unit, the hard drive, the mind being the operating system, and access to the cloud, that cloud that came before, the internet and this whole discovery of, the wherewithal to communicate and to store information out in the ethos. But, we had the capacity, and we have this huge capacity that we're not tapping into because we don't know it's there.
Right.
And if you don't know, you don't engage, you don't activate, you don't have any, you're not inquisitive. You just go with what you know and what you see, and I think part of what you're sharing with me is making me reflect on you can only perceive a situation or an object based on your knowledge or experience or perception.
Right.
So whereas one person might see a rock in the middle of a field, another person will see a football. And they're two completely different uses for them, but this is a football, no, it's a rock. It's just a soft rock. That's all that is, and has everything to do with our perception. So increasing our knowledge and understanding of the world around us, no telling where this is going to end up, and we're infants where we are now today with regard to even where we once were. And I look forward to the day when, scientists like yourself, Brother Okoye, can continue to open up our eyes to this knowledge that is ever present. We just aren't tapped into it.
Right. So the medicine it's all around us. It surrounds us. I don't want to sound like Star Wars, like the Force is on, but it's true. Whatever that concept is very true. It's very
definitely
poignant. And so, like you said, Baruch, that this perception, the Qi Gong is really giving you the eyesight to perceive what's happening within the original cell phone, which is the blood cell phone. Right? Mm-hmm. That's what's happening within me. And you take your mind, or we try not to use the word mind too much because it's so elusive. We believe it's there and so on, but it's elusive. But what's more tangible is the body.
Right.
Right. So you take, and if you notice in Qigong, they always start off by you're in the state where you're concentrated. Your eyes are shut. Your mind is focused back inwards. So now you're feeling your breath. You're seeing how the breath travels throughout the body. Now you might start to feel your heartbeat. Oh, what's that? That's that drum I hear. That's the first rhythm that's putting you in accord with what's happening. It puts you in rhythm when you hear that heartbeat. A lot of us don't hear our heartbeat anymore. Okay, so that's just letting you know how much outside of our body we spend. We spend way more time outside of our body than inside, and we're not tuning in. So Qigong is a way to allow you to come back, tune in, and now you're perceiving what's happening in your lungs. What's happening in your spleen, your heart, your kidneys, your liver, and what's happening in your blood. And the better you get, the deeper you get with it, then you can go down deeper into what's happening in the DNA, the hormones. Are things firing off? Are they not firing off, right? My current Qigong teacher, he's a man in Tacoma named Master Liu Shaoling, right? And he told me stories when he was living in China that when he didn't want to go to work, and he had to go see the doctor, like he wanted to take some time off and they wouldn't allow the time off, he would just go to the doctor and he would physically make his blood pressure go up. Right? And so when the doctor saw it, oh no, you shouldn't be working, and he'll take 7 days off and he'll go on vacation, do what he need to do with his family, right? And then as soon as he leaves the office, he does what he needs to do, connects with himself, and brings it back to normal, right? Now, to someone like us, that's like a superpower,
right?
But no, it's not. It's not supernatural. It's natural. It's just we're not taking time to get into these natural sciences, and we need to return back to those. And Qigong, yoga, Tai Chi, these are technologies that were used back in those days to tap back into the most important thing in this life, which is you.
Right.
You talk about a communication, and is that you talked about a communication. Is that communication one way? In other words, are we able to look at our DNA and read our DNA, or are we actually able to communicate with our DNA and possibly repair?
Great question. So this is the realm of, when you're dealing with the body and the body language, I think that's what I'm hearing you say. The body definitely communicates to us via, so like in Chinese medicine, the way we communicate through the body in many ways, like you can feel a pulse, right? If you have the pulses represent, so like these three fingers represent different aspects of our internal organs. There's a whole science developed where you can tap into the flow and feel like, okay, the pulse here is rapid. This is sluggish, right? This is deep. And those all mean different things if you understand what's happening, right? A rapid pulse means that someone is heat. There's heat inside the body, right? That's fire. But the metaphor of that, emotionally, that heat translates to agitation, right? Anger, feelings of frustration, these kind of hot emotions. Whereas if you don't feel a pulse, if you don't feel a lot of vibrations, you may interpret that emotionally as someone who's apathetic, right? Someone who's withdrawn, who doesn't feel worthy, right? And so now these are ways that you can get a direct biofeedback from that particular body's, that particular person's body about what's going on. Or you could take a look at other diagnostic tools, such as things Dr. Baruch, like iridology or tongue diagnosis, right?
Yep.
These are the same sciences, reflexology, where you see things that look not normal in particular areas, and those blemishes in those areas will alert someone who knows the science of the body. There's something happening here, and when you ask, Oh, so you might see something in the big toe, a scar, and you say, oh, have you been having problems with your brain or your memory or your thinking process? And, oh, how did you know? It's not how did I know. I just I read the book. It's just showing me, which is what the body has. So those are definite ways that the body definitely communicates with you. There's other ways, but, that's just to share a little glimpse of what we do.
Right.
And then if you know those ways, then you can construct exercises, right, to help put that back in order, right? Or you can present herbal remedies. You can prescribe acupuncture, acupressure, right? Massage therapy, essential oils, right? You can, whatever modality that you vibrate with, that you resonate with, you can select that to put you back in order. And that's essentially the whole science of healing and health.
Right. I love that because it kind of reminds me, a few years back, I got into micro expressions and body language and, reading people. And it's sort of the same thing, but within yourself. Mm-hmm. So, I love that. And it's just amazing what we may be able to accomplish if we turn off, all our devices and things. We have enough communication and, probably even entertainment just within what we can do within ourselves. I like the imagery that you gave. You mentioned Star Wars. It's kind of like, it's kind of weird, but not really. It's life,
It's life.
Mm-hmm. So
a lot of truth behind those movies.
Yeah, exactly. They don't just pull it out of thin air. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you've heard of the science of neuro-linguistic programming?
Yes.
And to be able to program our bodies and to program our mind and program our spirit and our energy, it's like, I remember there was a guy who was doing this, and I noticed what he was doing. I was like, that's kind of weird. Every time he would say something funny and he would get me to laugh, and sometimes I was laughing to be, cordial, but he would touch me. And afterwards, because I knew I was at an event where they were doing this type of science, I was more alert to it. He said, now, you'll notice that when I touch you, you'll laugh. Because I was programming you, in that space. I was programming you. And he said, if you counted, it was 13 times that I said something where I laughed and you politely laughed with me. Sometimes you thought it was funny, but each time I touched you. And although our conversation was 25 minutes, your body and your mind have now made this connection to, when I touch you, you smile, you laugh. And, and I said, I said, if I let it go and I'm not trying to overthink it, right, I'll do exactly. But because I was so, alert, I was more trying to be alert than I was letting the flow of that in, so I think about, Chris, I've got 4 children, Chris has 2. And I think about, the things that we do in that, was it NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, sometimes it's a look. You give your child that look because you've already programmed them. You know what this look means.
Know the consequences.
Yes.
Look, I need to work on mine. I don't think mine works. You got any books for that?
But, so it's it's fascinating, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for you dedicating your time and energy to the research and to the science.
Definitely.
And then coming on and sharing that information with our audience. Is there anything you got coming up in the not too distant future that you'd like to share with our audience? Please give the date and the year, because they might look at this video 5 years from now and show up.
Right. So what is it now, 2017?
Yes.
I'm definitely looking to put something together mid-March, where we're going to do a workshop. Me and a brother of mine who's an acupuncturist, licensed acupuncturist, we're going to be doing a workshop on the liver and the whole role of the liver has in regeneration of the body and detoxification of the body, because oftentimes we just focus on one side of what the liver is capable of doing versus the other. We always focus on the detox, but the liver is such a unique organ that you can cut it in half and it will regenerate itself, right? It's an amazing organ that it contains all of our blood, and our blood is, like I was saying earlier, it's our emotions. It's our ability to think about ourselves in new ways and recreate ourselves, right? It's all through the blood. And so if you can get this organ in line, you can do so much for your health, right? And so we're going to have this. We haven't determined the location yet, but...
I did. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, you heard it here. It's gonna be here.
There it is.
Everlasting life. We're gonna set that up, and so I'm gonna be doing the Qi Gong exercises that help one to detoxify the liver and to regenerate the liver. And then he's gonna be bringing in the acupuncture component, and I'm also gonna be doing the herbal component. So, because Qi Gong is not just the movements; it's really a lifestyle. You know, and so what we're going to be bringing in is a lifestyle, and the herbal component is going to be interesting because we're only going to be using herbs that you can find around this area. So you can go out, even if you don't have the money, all you need to do is come to class, learn to recognize these herbs, and then you'll be able to find where the milk thistle is, where the dandelion grows, where the burdock grows, and so on and so forth. And we're going to just teach you how to make formulations for these for yourself and your family.
That sounds fascinating.
It does. I definitely have to be here for that.
Yes. Connecting up with you, brother. How do we reach you? How do we find you? Where do we find you?
All right. So you can definitely reach out to me. My email is Eze Okoye, EZEOKOYE @gmail.com. You can look me up on Village Qi Gong. That's village, the word village, I can't even take that for granted these days. VILLAGEQIGONG.com. That's villageqigong.com. And that website is up. I think it's doing some things on it right now, but I can still get your messages. You can still flash messages. I can receive them and respond to you. And so that's pretty much how you can stay in touch.
Great. Ella, again, it's an honor and a privilege to have you on this platform to share a science that predates anything we can ever think about was ever in existence, you know. And I'm always excited to share with our audience that which can help them. Chris, what do you say?
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. And I know we have some great things coming up this week. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so you know that means we have the Health, Wealth, and Knowledge of Self workshop series. We got a topic for this week?
Yeah.
We have one, so we'll share that with you tomorrow. So you got to stay, I like the suspense, so we're going to go that route. Come and check it out. It starts at 7 p.m., but you can come early and grab a bite to eat and hang out with us. The presentation is from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Also coming up, we have the movie night every Friday. We show a movie, an independent film, and we have a great discussion afterwards, so you don't want to miss that. That's 7 to 9 p.m. every Friday right here at Everlasting Life. We also, on March 4th, we have the Solstice Bazaar. Come and check out the vendors. They have different great and wonderful vendors each month. This time is on Saturday, March the 4th. I believe it's from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you can come and check it out and be a part of that. And then we also have our fitness challenge that we invite you to come out and be a part of, because fitness is key. If there's no you, there's no health. There's not much of anything else going on, so make sure that you reach out if you're interested in joining that. It's ongoing, so you don't have to wait for a certain time or day to do it. You can do it today.
Great. Well, it's been a great show.
Yes.
And look forward to doing more of this type of programming. For those of you in the viewing and listening audience, please like, share, subscribe, and all the other stuff that you're now doing on social media.
Yes.
And stay tuned. We're on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 11 or so till 1.
Yeah.
So, stay tuned and check out the Elife Power Lunch with Chris Murray and myself, Dr. Baruch. Thanks for viewing.
Take care, guys.
Come on down, if you wet it, wake up, let's go, we're on a mission. Recognize we've got that power, and we make sure that you know it. Got that pride, go ahead and show it. Stand up, fight back, no time for hoping. Recognize we got that power. Stop until we get it. Come on down.